Hello everyone, let's have more news about the Steelers, but first don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. After missing the entire 2024 season, Cole Holcomb isn't taking anything for granted heading into the Steelers' 2025 season. Even knowing he has no role carved out for him, he is giving himself every opportunity to get into the mix. He has rededicated himself to football and his fitness, and his teammates are noticing. Cole, he's been here every day doing work since he's been injured. Honestly, he looks more chiseled and swole than when he got hurt, Minka Fitzpatrick said of Holcomb with a smile via the Steelers' website. He shall hereby be known as Swole Holcomb moving forward. The Steelers signed Holcomb as their every down linebacker in 2023. He didn't even make it through half a season, however, before suffering a severe knee injury. He spent virtually all of 2024 rehabbing. Though he said he felt he could play at the end of last season, he admitted it may not have been the best idea. For guys like Fitzpatrick to say that Holcomb is looking even better than he did before his injury is something. And he isn't the only one to have said something similar. Patrick Queen didn't even get to play with him before his injury, but he noticed how well he was moving. That's just a testament to the type of dude he is, Fitzpatrick said of Holcomb. It's honestly impressive, a guy that had his tenure in the league so far, and he's still trying to fight and come back and play at a high level. It's much respect to him, and honestly, it's an honor working with somebody that's fighting so hard to get back on the field. It's unclear what plan, if any, the Steelers have for Cole Holcomb going into the 2025 season. They have Queen now as their every down linebacker and want to see what Peyton Wilson can do. Will they rotate Wilson in and out? And if so, with whom? Now let's go to another video. Don't forget to leave a like.
With Justin Fields and Rodgers. Well, essentially, I guess they've swapped teams, right? They're going to meet opening weekend in New York. All right, here to get to the bottom of it all, Steelers reporter Brooke Pryor, senior NFL writer Jeremy Fowler. You covered Pittsburgh back in the Big Ben days, right?
I did.
They've been looking for a quarterback ever since.
Steelers beat unite, and they are. Yeah.
There you go. Brooke, it's been 80 days since he first visited the Steelers until this official signing, and now we have mandatory minicamp coming up. So how are they going to get him up to speed?
Well, Hannah, Mr. Rodgers arrived to his new neighborhood Friday night. He was in the building on Saturday, greeted by General Manager Omar Khan at the front door. He did not have to go around the back door like last time when he snuck in with a Chevy Malibu. And all signs point to him being at mandatory minicamp on Tuesday. That's the expectation, where he will then talk with the media after Tuesday's practice. And I would expect things to continue to be business as usual in Pittsburgh throughout all of this chaos, because the Steelers remained optimistic over those 80 days that this is eventually where things would end up. And Mike Tomlin has a saying that you got to hop on the moving train. Kim Hayward said a couple days ago that the train was going to keep on moving. So the good news here for Aaron Rodgers is that, like, it has barely left the station. He might be 41 years old, but I think he can still run and catch up and jump on the caboose as it heads out.
Yeah, well, you got to keep the train on the tracks, right? Rodgers won MVP back in 2021. The years since then have not gone as well. He ranked 25th in QBR last season after, of course, missing the entire 2023 season with that torn Achilles. Back in 2022, it was 26th in QBR. And they do say that it takes a full year at least to really fully rebound from an Achilles injury, Jeremy. What are you hearing about expectations, particularly with that Arthur Smith offense?
Yeah, Hannah, teams I've talked to believe that Aaron Rodgers at this stage is a middle-of-the-pack quarterback. He's probably ranked 15 to 17 among the top 32. He's not that top 10 guy anymore, but the Steelers do believe that they're getting the best field vision from the pocket they've had since Ben Roethlisberger. They believe he's still got plenty of arm strength. And Jets coaches I've talked to think that, look, he was a lot better than the stats showed last year. It's just simply a mobility issue. It's also, how is he going to coalesce with Arthur Smith? The good news is they've been on the phone a couple times. Rodgers has talked with not only Mike Tomlin, but Smith about how they're going to reconfigure the offense, find a sweet spot where Rodgers can still do all the stuff he likes to do at the line of scrimmage, still stay true to the system. Watch, the Steelers could also add a playmaker at some point. They had Gabe Davis, a veteran free agent, in for a visit last week, but nothing is imminent at that point.
And by the way, Aaron Rodgers didn't have to wait till he officially became a Steeler to start working with some of his weapons. He was doing a workout with DK Metcalf in California about a month and a half ago. He's already following the other Mr. Rodgers adage, look for the helpers. I think DK Metcalf could be a big help to this offense and to Aaron Rodgers when they hook up here in Pittsburgh.
Brooke, Now, I know you're going to be able to be in a press conference situation with him next week. And there's a lot of people wondering if indeed he is married, because he was sporting that ring on this finger at his signing and again at the Kentucky Derby. So can you get to the bottom of that, please?
I would love to.
Yeah. We asked
The story you were born to tell.
We asked Jeremy about it, and what was your response? He's married to?
He's married to the game.
Married to football.
Married to
There
the
you
game.
go. We know
Married
that.
to the Steelers now.
We know that as much. Brooke, Jeremy, thanks.
A caption saying, done deal. Rodgers signed a one-year, $13.65 million deal with $10 million guaranteed. He'll be wearing number 8, not number 12. We now bring in senior NFL reporter Jeremy Fowler into SportsCenter. Jeremy, the wait is over. We can all finally move on with our lives. Rodgers officially in Pittsburgh. So what's the fallout around the league?
Well, Scooby, I'll start with Atlanta, where Kirk Cousins was hoping to get out of town, be a starter for a new team, and he looked at Pittsburgh as he could be a potential plan B for them. Well, that is off the table, and it is a dry quarterback market for Cousins to try to get in a trade. Atlanta hasn't really shown a willingness to trade Cousins much, as one source told me that if they were willing to take maybe $7 or $8 million on an offset from another team 2 months ago, this could have got done. But now Cleveland has a bunch of quarterbacks in its room. Pittsburgh has Rodgers. The New Orleans Saints are the only team that could have any sort of opening, but they're probably not going to trade in division. So maybe Atlanta holds on to him through training camp, sees if there's any sort of injury. Also, Minnesota Vikings greatly affected here because they started to roll with J.J. McCarthy this offseason. Rodgers definitely had interest in playing for the Vikings. He was looking at playing for one of those elite-type play callers like Kevin O'Connell. But the Vikings' plan is clear. From what I'm told, they saw this as a 3-year window right now to win a championship with a really good quarterback they like on a rookie deal. They can build around him with some pieces. So they're going to go for it without Rodgers officially now.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see what the Vikings can do with J.J. McCarthy at quarterback. We know he won a championship with the Michigan Wolverines. Now the Steelers are one of 25 teams to have mandatory minicamp this upcoming week. So what other contract decisions have to be made?
Well, let's start with Terry McLaurin, who's been highly productive for Washington. He's kind of been their Iron Man over the years, playing through bad quarterbacks. He got an extension 3 years ago. Well, now he's looking for another one, a year away from free agency. And last time he stayed away from offseason workouts before he got a deal. It was a bit uncomfortable. We'll see what happens with minicamp. Does he report? There is a question about that right now. Certainly Washington wants to keep him in the fold long term. They've had some talks, but not enough progress yet to get to any sort of deal. Then we're going to flip the page here. We got Nick Chubb, free agent, one of the top free agent names still out there. I was told that he's hoping to sign here soon, and maybe he gets something done before a minicamp, gets into a team. 4-time Pro Bowler. The return to Cleveland's not totally off the table from what I'm told, but probably unlikely because of their draft plans. They drafted multiple running backs. I'm told Houston could be one to watch here. They've been looking at that running back market, maybe adding somebody with Joe Mixon. Then there's another back there, James Cook. He needs a new contract, only 25 years old. He's considered a top 8 to 10 running back in this league. They've had some talks, but it's been quiet of late, so he's been away from the team during OTAs. Will that continue? Now, these players get fined if they miss minicamp, so depends on your strategy, but it's going to be interesting because you got Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, both got big deals this offseason between $20 and $15 million per year. Cook feels like, hey, I'm highly productive and I'm a lot younger than those guys, so can they find a sweet spot on the guaranteed money? This offseason will tell.
Yeah, Cook's tied a Bills franchise record with 16 rushing touchdowns last season, so he is worth the money. But, Jeremy, let me just say, I'm missing you in studio, bro. I thought you were going to be over here. I was looking left and right, and here we are.
I had to come from the basement today, but I will be back soon, I promise.
All right, I hope so. We appreciate your insight, Jeremy. Thank you.
We've known for all these years as a first ballot Hall of Fame.
On Saturday, it was made official. Rodgers is a member of the Steelers. And you were making an interesting point this morning, Schrager, as we were talking in our meeting, that maybe what they need him to do is exactly what he should be doing now.
He showed up to New York last tenure here and 2 years ago, and it was, here's the entire franchise, save us. Like, go save us, Greeny, make it happen. And he brought in all his guys, and he had his offensive coordinator, and as the weight of the world was behind him, he comes in here, $10 million contract, which is a great value from Omar Khan in the front office, and we're going to put you in a situation where we have veterans already. Just play football. Just play football. You have a 1-year deal. Just play football and be great. And I think the Arthur Smith offense works, but I'll add this. You might look at that mix between the Pittsburgh culture of blue-collar, hardworking. Guys, his greatest success has been with Mike McCarthy, a Pittsburgh guy. Alex Van Pelt, a Pittsburgh guy. Tom Clements, a Pittsburgh guy. I think Rodgers knows that Pittsburgh mindset, knows that market, and I think it actually makes a lot of sense that he could be plugged right in. Let's go play football and win games.
Worst place they could be in, Pittsburgh.
How so?
Okay, so he's good enough, they're good enough, they're going to go 9-8, 10-7. They won't matter in the playoffs, and we all know that. And then they're not bad enough to get a top 8 pick and finally find the quarterback of the future. And so anybody who says that Aaron can't play anymore, you're just being a hater because of some of the things you don't like about him as a person. But this still is a subpar offensive line. They only have really DK Metcalf on the perimeter. Fryermuth's a really nice tight end. They don't work the middle of the field with Arthur Smith right now. Maybe that'll change with Aaron, but Aaron didn't necessarily do it a ton last year. So you're in that area where we're going to be a contending team, but we are not better than Buffalo. We're not better than Kansas City. We're not better than Denver. We're not better than Chargers. We're not better than the Bengals. We're not better than the Ravens. So are we really going to matter? No. But we're not going to be bad enough. Like, at the end of the day, if the Steelers said we're going with Mason Rudolph this year because we have to figure out this position for the future and next year's college class is going to be good, I would have sat back and said, like, not traditionally how you go do it, but I understand the reasoning why.
I understand what you were saying. The flip side of that, though, is only one team is going to finish with the first pick, right? So the Steelers probably wouldn't have been the worst team in the league anyway. They have a bunch of draft capital. They're going to be able to maneuver the draft next year anyway. The Steelers are not about sucking. What you're talking about is, but
they're also not about
to be terrible.
They're also not about the first question that we asked was, will Aaron Rodgers win them all playoff?
Well, for the last 10 years, they have been. They haven't even won all playoff.
Could you argue, though, that they made the two biggest swings? They traded a second-round pick and are paying DK Metcalf $30 million. Right. And they went and got Aaron Rodgers at what I think is a great value, whether you like him or not. $10 million
it's a great value,
Aaron Rodgers.
But they will, like on the field, can they block for him? Because when the last time we saw him be great, which is 20 and 21, #1 offensive line in football. That's not what Pittsburgh has right now. And they have one dude on the perimeter. One.
So I understand that. I look, is the roster imperfect? Obviously. Is the situation perfect? Obviously not. I am intrigued, however, by what Schrager said, D-Wood. You're close to that Jet situation. Mm-hmm. When he showed up here, you know it, they basically became the New York Rodgers.
Yeah.
It was just here. You do everything. We have no idea what we're doing. You seem to. You go do it. Now, if all he needs to do is show up, play football, and sort of, to whatever other degree you can, kind of keep out of everything else. We'll see if he does that. That might be exactly what he's best suited to be doing right this minute.
Well, the weight of the world is off his shoulders because you have the Pittsburgh culture. But here's what I will say. Guys, can we acknowledge what Tom Brady did as a 40-year-old quarterback was an anomaly?
Right.
What we're asking Aaron Rodgers is to be is a force multiplier at 41 years old. That's what we're asking him to be. And that's just not the case. There's too many deficiencies with the Pittsburgh Steelers for us to say, okay, we're going to plug in Aaron Rodgers, and all of a sudden they're going to do something that they haven't done since 2016.
If he goes to Pittsburgh this year and still plays at a good level, they are not better than Buffalo or Kansas City or Houston or Denver or the Chargers.
You would have never said Washington was going to have any chance. Like, you don't know that.
I absolutely know that. You're going to tell me you think if Aaron Rodgers plays good football,
you get better with Aaron Rodgers. They were a team that
better. You're going to take them over Baltimore?
Right this minute, no. But things happen that surprise us all the time. And I think the central point I'm trying to make, look, do I think that they're a top 5 team in the AFC? No, absolutely not. No. But crazier things have happened. But maybe more importantly here, the Steelers have leadership. It's not his team.
Sure.
Right? It's Tomlin's team. Sure. It's all those vets on defense's team. I think that's a good thing.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah. Quickly.
Do 40-year-old quarterbers get healthier?
Generally not. No.
So we're again, the whole premise is we're expecting a 41-year-old quarterback to all of a sudden be healthy, play at a high level.
And beat Lamar.
And beat Lamar. And
beat CJ.
That's what we're asking.
So that's pretty much what we're asking at this point in Pittsburgh. It is better than the alternative, however, in my opinion.
Sure.
I don't think you
absolutely.
Want to slump or jump, and we'll do it with sophomore quarterbacks. Where is Orlovsky? He's over there. But D-Wood, I'm starting with you. Jaden Daniels just had the greatest rookie season any quarterback ever had. Will he have a sophomore slump or jump?
It's crazy, with the year he had. I want to go jump, man. I just think, the second year in the same system under Cliff Kingsbury.
Well, give him the MVP then.
Yeah, he's going to be in play. I can tell you that. With added protection along the offensive line, yeah, he's going to have a jump.
He could have been in that conversation last year. Peter, Drake May in New England, sophomore slump or jump?
Can we do sophomore giant leap? I think he's going to be so much better this year. He was so good last year. He was the Pro Bowl quarterback with nothing around him, and now you get Josh McDaniels calling the plays, one of the best quarterback gurus there is in the game, and Mike Vrabel, a real professional coach, to help on the defensive side as well.
And then, Danny, let's go back to the number 1 pick of a year ago. Caleb Williams, slump or jump?
Jump. He has to. If he doesn't jump, there will be widespread panic in all of Chicago. He gets the number 1 offensive line in the NFL over the last decade at coordinator-wise in Ben Johnson. It's a much improved offensive line. They've got plethora of weapons on the perimeter. He has to take a big jump under Ben Johnson.
All of those things they added leaded you to tell me what in our meeting this morning?
Oh, I don't think there's a quarterback in the NFL under more pressure than Caleb Williams. The expectations are remarkably high. Ben Johnson, so you imagine like what Sean McVay was for Jared Goff when he went there, or what Mike McDaniel was for Tua when he went there. You can make the case that Caleb's more physically talented than those two guys, and so this is an offensive line that's going to be much improved. They've got guys to throw the football to by the dozens, it feels like, and a scheme that gets every quarterback to play well. Under Ben Johnson in Detroit, they scored 177 touchdowns, punted 154 times. Okay? So, like, the expectations should be exponentially high, and Caleb has to meet them.
You buying pressure, Peter Schrager, the most pressure of any quarterback in the NFL?
No, I don't think he's got the most pressure. Dan, yeah, I agree. They gave him everything. 6 new offensive coaches, all these weapons.
Right.
Last year was almost as if it's a mulligan. This is his rookie year to me. I don't think anyone blames him for last year. I look at J.J. McCarthy in Minnesota, who's stepping into a 14-3 team that was a game away from winning the division, have the number 1 seed, and they're saying, well, J.J. McCarthy, you're great. We saw it in college when you handed the ball off a bunch of times. Take the reins and go.
Here's my pushback to that. 1 was the number 1 pick. 1 is an organization, a city, a football team and fan base that has never had the quarterback that they've wanted. I think Minnesota is the easiest place to play quarterback in the NFL this year. I fully expect J.J. McCarthy to throw for 30 touchdowns and 4,000 yards. In Chicago, because, again, the conversation or the noise around Caleb, some of it to his own of saying, I didn't want to go there initially. Now everybody's going to go, you have no excuses anymore. Like, we got the offensive mind. You have to go throw for 4,000 yards. You have to be one of the reasons why we are contending for the playoffs.
See, would those two play each other on the opening Monday night of the season? It'll be Minnesota at Chicago, our first Monday night game, J.J. McCarthy's first game, and Caleb Williams' first game of the rest of his life. And if you look at the Bears' schedule, that Fink loves to make the point of the schedule, the early schedule is very tough for Chicago. But what do you think? Those two young quarterbacks, which one do you put in the heat on? Which one do you believe in?
I believe in J.J. McCarthy. Because I love the infrastructure around them. You got Kevin O'Connell. I mean, name a better.
Everyone throws for 30 touchdowns.
Offensive line, weapons, defense. It's already made for him there. I know he hasn't played a regular season snap, but stepping into that system, give me JJ.
Let me tell you the difference in the situations. JJ in the situation with Kevin O'Connell, not only the infrastructure, how he plays football, a rhythm and timing centric quarterback, it's perfect. Caleb in Chicago has to do under Ben Johnson something he's never done. Play on time, play on rhythm. And if the way it works is Ben Johnson will demand the scheme, the play call, that's the star, not you. That's the star. And so on second down, since you were the worst third down quarterback in the NFL last year, and we were the worst in Chicago offense on third down, on second down, when I call this play, I want the ball in your hands. And what do you know this? Not just because I want the ball in your hands, I'm giving the offensive line a break. I'm getting that guy who hasn't touched the ball in 6 snaps a touch. I'm giving the defense a look. I'm getting ourselves set up for the second down play call that I want. So if Caleb will do that, and again, he hasn't done it, and it takes hundreds, if not thousands of reps to master. If he'll do that, the jump will happen. If he won't, we got problems.
Quick final word.
Sam Darnold, 14 wins, out the door. Daniel Jones.
Assuming Aaron Rodgers is strictly a one-year Band-Aid, the Pittsburgh Steelers will be in the market for a quarterback once again next offseason. Mason Rudolph is under contract for the 2026 campaign, as is rookie 6th-round selection Will Howard. But Pittsburgh may not view either player as a viable starter on what should remain a contending team next year. The Steelers are sitting on a treasure chest of picks, including up to 4 third-rounders when factoring in the compensatory formula, and could find themselves in prime position to trade up for a potential franchise signal caller when the NFL draft heads to Pittsburgh next April. Should the organization bypass that opportunity and instead try to find a solution behind center through other means, ESPN's Kevin Clark believes former Indianapolis Colts first-round selection Anthony Richardson could factor into the equation for Pittsburgh next season. I've never seen anybody more destined to be in the 2026 Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback competition than Anthony Richardson, because I'm looking at this and I'm seeing a training camp where Daniel Jones will probably start with the ones, Clark said on NFL Live. There's job preservation now going on in Indianapolis with head coach Shane Steichen and general manager Chris Ballard. They're going to want to get that 7, 8, 9 wins in order to keep their job. They're not going to want to take a flyer on Anthony Richardson and say, hey, let's hope he develops. Let's hope he finally shows athleticism that he showed at the combine when he was literally the best athlete that the quarterback position has ever seen there. I just don't think it's going to happen. He's going to get a good start somewhere else. And you, fan, what do you think about Anthony Richardson's situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.